So, Tyler Hubbard dropped his solo EP, and I kind of want to talk about it. I don't know, it's a Thursday morning, I'm supposed to be on my way to Nashville, but the Canadian government was like, yo, take this Rona test. And we were like, that's dumb, but okay. Then we were like, yo, where's our results? And they were like, oh, we lost the test. So we're on the phone, like, what do we do? Can we go? Like, y'all lost the freaking test. And they were like, I don't know, man, sounds like a you problem. And we were like, how? You're the one who lost the test. And they were like, beep. So, instead of being on my way to Nashville, I am idly waiting to hear back from good old J Daddy, but I figured why not use this extra time I've been given to sit down and talk about some new music, more specifically, this new solo EP from Tyler Hubbard. At this point in time, I don't think I need to do a whole detailed chronology of the Florida Georgia Line breakup and subsequent solo careers. I think everyone has a working knowledge by now. In summary, Florida Georgia Line broke up. Brian Kelly had clearly been anticipating and waiting for their separation because immediately after they announced their hiatus, this guy turned around with an entire solo album ready to go. Overall, it was pretty good. My review of Sunshine State of Mind is up on the channel if you're interested. But it sort of left our main man, Tyler Hubbard, in the dust. Brian Kelly was off into the tropical sunset with a whole new identity as a solo artist, while Tyler was kind of just left behind making really cringy trap music that was too soft to even make it into a Grade 9's playlist. But all jokes aside, some time passed, and eventually earlier this year, Tyler began releasing some singles, starting to form his own brand as a solo artist, and then sure enough, here we are with an entire EP to digest. But it turns out that's not all. On Apple Radio, I know a rare Spotify user L, Tyler announced that this is part of a bigger project, and by bigger project, I mean an 18-song album that is expected to come out in January. But we'll get to that later because right now I want to focus back in on the EP because it's a pretty significant release as far as Tyler's solo career goes. And I wanted to talk about this EP because despite my criticisms of his solo work so far, I was interested to see what Tyler wanted to say on his first fully realized project. How does he want to introduce himself as a solo artist? Because say what you want about the one-off singles, to go through the motions of promoting and releasing an entire EP, it's evident that Tyler is taking his solo career more seriously now, which was my reminder to begin taking it more seriously, unlike how I've responded to a lot of his solo work up until this point. So let's talk about the actual EP. But before I can actually begin discussing the content of the EP, the actual music, I need to reiterate my disapproval for this minimalist magazine cover style album art he went for. It looks like he's on set for a yogurt commercial or something, which granted maybe is an accurate representation of what you're in for musically, but I just don't get why you wouldn't go for something more interesting. Like, at least Chris Stapleton's cover for Starting Over was intriguingly minimal, but this cover just screams commercial and sponsored and neutrally designed for mass appeal, which granted it is, but as an artist, wouldn't you want the cover of the music you want people to check out be a little more interesting? Like, if I was scrolling through a recommended section and saw this, I think it was an advertisement for an upcoming interview or something, like not a full musical EP. But that's enough ranting with the visual side of this EP. It's time to discuss the important stuff, the meat of the sandwich, the music of this project, because that's what we're all here for after all. In short, if nothing else, I will say this EP has left me very interested to hear what Tyler puts forth on his upcoming album at the turn of the year, because while there's sizable shortcomings and questionable decisions in regards to both the production and songwriting, I think this EP showed a lot more potential and creativity than I was expecting, mostly on the production front. After hearing the singles prior to this release, like 35's, Way Home, 5'9", I went into this project expecting some more super generic, formulaic boyfriend pop country with some dated shades of bro country that you would expect from a member of the duo that created the entire era. And while a lot of that is true for the majority of this EP, especially in the writing, this project showed a lot more personality and creativity than I was expecting, even if the finished product is nothing to marvel at. It's mostly the front half of this EP that have my attention. The back half is more of the safe, sleek, vanilla commercial country I was expecting, even if I still think 5'9" is a good song. I'll get to my issues in a moment, but to highlight the best parts of the project, I think the opener and title track, Dancin In The Country, has some great energy backed by some fast-paced organic percussion. In general, even if I think the delivery can be a little bit corny at times, I like the arrangement with the percussive breakdown in the pre-chorus as well as the outro. Love the inclusions of the banjo to cap it all off at the end. Just a really good job of capturing the energy, even if the song is pretty surface level otherwise. Everybody Needs a Bar is by far the most unorthodox and experimental tune, and I think I mess with it. I think the steady downbeat paired with the wonky bass line sets a really catchy foundation, but then rather than leaving it at that, there's all sorts of instrumental additions that make the song so much more interesting and country. You've got some nice honky-tonk piano rocking around throughout, there's some electric pianos and organs that add some nice color here and there, a great guitar solo in the bridge, some steel notes sliding around the sides, the banjo makes another subtle appearance near the end, even those like oohs in the chorus, like ooh, 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 just came as such a surprise and adds so much character to the song overall. Now I will say all of that together does make for a slightly scattered collage of an instrumental, but I was just excited to hear the variety of sounds Tyler was willing to throw into the mix. It's not just dusty acoustics and some lo-fi drum loops, there's some really country elements that make these songs a lot more fun to listen to and pick out all the different incorporations. Then the other song I really messed with was Baby Gets Her Lovin', which I think is probably the best song objectively speaking, by far the most ambitious and unexpected. The whole vibe is so ominous and western inspired, it almost feels like an unreleased song from the latest Brothers Osborne record. It's got this rocking chorus, a fantastic melody, the fiddle takes center stage during the transitions but also adds its 2 cents across the track, even getting a dueling solo in the bridge with the electric guitar that sounds incredible. The song's got a lot of punch, a lot of power, and I think that in-your-face style works well on a song like this, which is this selfish, braggadocious cut about being proud of his wife, being the only one she chose to be with. It features what I would call Tyler's best vocal performance on the whole project, really a genuine highlight that I think has a lot to love. But despite the creativity, despite the ambition, I think what holds back a lot of these tracks from being pretty good is simply the production, which I know sounds stupid because it's the very thing I've been praising this whole time, but I don't mean the arrangement, I don't mean the choice of instruments, but how everything was recorded and balanced in the mix. That's the side of the production I have an issue with. Everything is so bright and sharp and heavily compressed. It's all competing for your attention rather than just laying on top of each other nicely and resulting in a fantastic country song. Especially the percussion, for as cool as I think it can be at times, it's definitely too far forward in the mix. I think they completely steal the spotlight and drown out all these really cool instruments that are in the songs as well. Like, I think the front half of this EP has all the right ingredients, he just left it in the oven too long. The processing on the recordings just strips some of the instruments of their texture, leading to a rather plasticky sound. So again, it's not a result of synthetic instrumental choice, but rather just too much processing on the recordings. And then of course the back half of the EP I alluded to earlier, just being much more run-of-the-mill mainstream soft boyfriend ballads that aren't terrible but also have nothing really unique or worthwhile about them. Other than 5'9", which I've discussed on the channel before, as being a sweet spot Tyler seemed to nail down really well. I do enjoy that track, but Inside and Out and I'm the Only One just feel like discount versions of 5'9". I really only touched on the musical side of the EP here because, like I said, lyrically this project really doesn't have a whole lot to offer. Outside of some fun wordplay on Everybody Needs a Bar, like the term karaoke Underwood, this EP just keeps spinning the same wheel of basic modern day boyfriend country topics that we've heard a million times. I was more just caught off guard by how unpredictable parts of this project were, which is why I wanted to discuss it, and because I think it's interesting seeing the different paths the two FGL members have gone since their breakup last year. Holy crap, get out of here, Fly.
Gee!
This isn't the most cohesive review I've ever done of a project. I just had some extra time and figured I'd sit down and vent some thoughts because, like I said, I expected this EP to be just another leaf in the wind that I listen to once and never care for again, but I see the vision. I think if Tyler can tone down the production, let the textures of the actual instruments come through more, and maybe give us some songwriting with a bit more purpose, I think this EP shows he is capable of pulling together some great country music. Now, do I think he will? Probably not, but a man can dream, and for now I'm going to enjoy parts of this EP with the hope that come January, he will realize some of the potential he showed on Dancin In The Country. I was interested to see what you guys thought of this EP, so I posted a story on my Instagram asking for some feedback, and it was very mixed. It seemed like people either loved it or hated it. Not a whole lot of people were in between. Some notable responses: several people responded saying the title track is a banger or a guilty pleasure. Caleb said, I actually enjoyed it. There's mid moments, but it's not terrible. I think that's sort of what I'm leaning towards as well. Anthony didn't like it at all, thought it was corny lyrically with overbearing production, and again, I'm left in agreement even if I don't hate it nearly as much as Anthony clearly does. Garrett agrees with me that the album cover is buns, but I think I agree with Michael Daub Music the most. He responded with an entire paragraph I'll read out here. Overall, kind of meh with a few good moments. I feel like Baby Gets Her Lovin' is one of the best. Obviously, 5'9" is great. And then there's some fun parts of Everybody Needs a Bar and Dancing in the Country. But overall, it kind of just feels like it's wearing on the same topics Tyler has always sung about, with little to no real exploration. I'll probably go back and listen to some of the songs on here, but it's far from a project of the year or even month, lol. Anyways, that's all I've got for you guys today. Be sure to let me know what you thought of this EP in the comments below. If you want to take part in different response stuff like this in the future, be sure to follow me on Instagram. The link will be down in the description, along with links to my Discord server and podcast and Patreon, which you can now sign up for. That's there as well. If you enjoyed this video, a like really does help me out. If you're new to the channel, maybe consider subscribing for more country music content. We'd love to have you on board. And yeah, until next time, I hope all of you have a fantastic day.